name is Norma Lester, and I'm the current board chair of Alliance Healthcare. And I certainly want to extend a hearty welcome to you who are joining us on this our inaugural community event. We know there were a lot of other places that you could have been today, but you decided to spend the time with us, and we truly do appreciate it. I'd like to start off by just acknowledging our elected officials, and we won't do the song and dance that we normally do, having you stand and give your name. But if you'll just wave your hand to let us know that you're in the house, because it gives you credence to being committed to not only your job, but to your community as well. So will all the elected officials just please raise your hand so that we know that you are in the house. To recognize my board members who are also here, who are probably the most participatory board members on any board I've ever served, and I want to thank them. Would you please raise your hands? And we have some of our senior staff that are here who are very dedicated to our mission and our cause. We want to ask them to raise their hands as well. And I also would like to thank everyone who had something to do with this program. It's never easy trying to put anything together, and they worked diligently, and we do want to thank them. I want to thank Senior Pastor Reverend Lawrence Turner for allowing us to host this event here in this facility. We want to thank the cooks and the servers who have been so diligent in accommodating us. And I want to offer a special thank you to our sponsors, Baptist, Alliance, United Healthcare, and Gaskell Strategies. Thank you all so much. Before I go any further, I have to acknowledge my pastor, or he will definitely let me know about it. And I am so proud that he is here and joined us this morning. The Honorable Reverend Dr. Keith Norman is in the house. You could probably say I threatened him, but I really didn't. You know, I like to travel. I travel a lot, and it doesn't matter what country I'm in, what state or what ship that I'm on. No matter where I go, I see St. Jude. St. Jude is the mecca of cancer research for children. It is known all over the world, but it's right here in Memphis, Shelby County, Tennessee. A place where it has people who are committed to the community and the mission. We have physicians, scientists who come all over the world to work and study at St. Jude. Alliance Healthcare is on the cusp of St. Jude because we have people who are committed to the mission and committed to the community. Home-born and bred people right here in Shelby County. We all know the recent activities that have occurred in our community, bringing the attention to healthcare and to mental health and behavioral health services. It has gotten attention. But now it's time for us to move beyond attention and get into action, because we really are in a mental health crisis and we cannot ignore it any longer. So I hope that you have enjoyed your breakfast, and that as the program unfolds, you will be aware of the Alliance mission and the impact that we're trying to make on the crises of mental health in our community. Before I go to my seat, I would ask that you give a warm welcome to Reverend Mary Moore, who is Congressional Care Pastor for Mississippi Boulevard. And without further ado, Reverend Moore, would you please come up? Thank you.
Good morning. Ms. Lester has already welcomed you to the gathering. I welcome you to the Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church. I am the congregational care pastor here. And we're thankful that you chose this place to have your gathering. We are excited about the work that you are doing. And if you need anything, there are persons back there. Ms. Betty Boone, are you in here? There she is. She will be glad to assist you. She's waving her hand as she strolls by there. If you need anything, let us know. We want this to be as accommodating as possible. Let us pray now. Our Lord and our God, we thank you because this is the day that you've made. We are rejoicing now because you've included us in this day. We realize, God, that it could have been so different, and we don't take it for granted, and we know it is not by happenstance that we are here. So we tell you, thank you, O Lord, for this privilege, this opportunity to be here in this place among people who are servants of yours. They're proactive in what they're doing rather than being reactive. Help them now. Give them everything that's needful and necessary for their journey, for the physical as well as the spiritual journey. Give them continued wisdom to do those things that you've assigned to each of their hands to do. Well, God, we heard in your word that you perfect those things that concern us. And mental health does concern us deeply. We are waiting now on your perfection, oh God, but give us the mind to keep our hearts and minds with an understanding that mental health is real. Help us to know, God, that there's so much that each of us needs to do to make this a better society for these your people, for our people, for whoever comes into the community. God, help us to serve them with gratitude, graciously and in truth. We love you, O God. We praise you. We lift your name on high. We ask you now, we thank you, God, for the breakfast that has already been received to nourish and strengthen the body. Bless every person that's in this building. May they go away now with a new determination, a new attitude, and a new spirit to say, I was a part of that great gathering, and now I'm here to do what the Lord has assigned me to do. We praise you in advance, God, for the work that will be done. It is in Christ's name that we pray, and we thank you, Father. Amen and amen. Bless you.
Drug abuser for some years, and I was diagnosed with major depression. And so I went through crisis of suicidal ideations on several occasions, suicidal attempts on several occasions. My life was a complete turmoil.
My name is Jane. Went through some traumatic things. My parents died, losing a job, foreclosure on my house. I was scared. Something inside of me just said, you can't go anywhere until you get help. Crisis services are so important. We meet the need of the individuals when they are sometimes at their lowest point.
A lot of times with our clients, there's no family support there. They have very little financial support. And so when they walk into our facility, they immediately have that support system.
Everything they were using in the past, I would say that go and get myself, and then that's what I found just weird.
So the people that we help, they're in a crisis. So from our assessment, we determine what level of care that they may need.
They can see a psychiatrist, therapist, peer support services, group therapy, so we can get them stable and back on the road to recovery and just instill hope. AHS, They took me by the hand and they put me as a priority, and it's just awesome. I mean, they're like my family. Probably the biggest change I've seen is my determination and will to keep going.
Came to AHS for helping get my life back on track. You know, they talked to me with compassion, they gave me some insight, they gave me some hope, and actually I got back stable on my medications, and I left the alcohol and drugs alone. And from that day to this one, it's been a totally 360-degree turnaround for me. So I made a choice to do something with my life different, be able to help the next person. So I'm on the outside of this now. So each day I come to work with a purpose. My purpose is to shed some light on someone that your life can change. You just got to put forth some effort.
I'm so proud of the clients we serve, like Jane and Abraham, to see somebody that was homeless get into our housing. Someone who was down and out and addicted to alcohol and drugs is now one of our employees. And my hope for AHS is to really continue to grow and expand our crisis services.
We see so many people. We have really double the volume of any other center in Tennessee. And we really need more space just so that it can be safer and more therapeutic. We don't want to overburden the jails and the emergency rooms, and that's not the correct treatment for someone who needs behavioral health treatment. They need to be in our environment.
We served 15,000 people last year alone, and we think the community deserves a state-of-the-art crisis center that we can all be proud of to help us promote wellness and reduce stigma.
We have incredible staff here, very dedicated staff. They go above and beyond every day.
I love working with such a dedicated team of professionals, and I love seeing people's lives improve. I mean, we really impact individuals and their families at their lowest point.
To me, the best part of the job, hearing from family or just hearing from the patient how much you help them.
We have clients come in and they feel real alone, and when I can say something to them, let them know where I've been, and I've been in the seat that they're sitting in, to me that's giving them a little bit of hope.
Don't quit. Don't give up.
AHS can change your life if you want to change your life.
Thank you. Every time I see that video, I'm inspired to, get up every day and do this work that we do. And I'm Laurie Powell, CEO of Alliance Healthcare. I've been in community mental health since 1993. And Marie Williams, I met her when she was a case manager at Midtown Mental Health Center, and I was a case manager in Orange Mound. Doing community work. And so once a social worker, always a social worker, right? I mean, it's in your heart. So I just wanted to, you had some things on your plate talking about anybody in your family that you might have known that struggled with addiction, mental health. And I was just telling Mayor Strickland, I found out my nephew died over the weekend from an overdose at age 32. And it touches all of our lives. And why am I saying that right now? Because we have to talk about it and to reduce stigma. So anyway, I wanted to just share a few stats with you and not bore you too much with them. But we all know that the need is increasing for behavioral health. When I say behavioral health, I'm talking about mental health, addiction. My friend Dorcas. Let me just stop here. Your dad, Bishop William Twig Young, he would be here today because he was such a pioneer in the mental health field and by reaching out to the churches. And we're going to continue that work, and Dorcas is going to continue that work. And I just shout out to you and your family. You're in my heart. Wow, I went to a celebration of life on Sunday. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to keep going back to everybody's celebration of life, even if I know them or not, because I felt so inspired with that, oh, happy day, you know. That's the way to do the celebration. But anyway, back to the stats. 1 in 5 individuals will suffer from some form of mental health in their lifetime. And 40% of Americans will meet the criteria for mental health condition in their life. Half of those people will develop conditions by the age of 14. And we all know, I just mentioned my nephew, fentanyl deaths are the #1 cause of death among 18 to 35-year-olds, and it's growing. And we're here to meet the need. Alliance is the largest safety net provider. When I say safety net, I mean you come to us, we will not turn you away. That's our mission, promoting wellness in the community. And so when I started back in 1993, I think we had maybe 150 employees. Now we're approaching 500 and growing. You've seen some of the leaders at your tables. I'm so proud of this team. We can't do this work without being such a strong team. Now, I also want to identify our community partners and mentors. Dr. Stewart right there, as soon as I got this job, she and I were wheeling and dealing and talking about what we were going to do to change, the landscape of childhood mental health with UT. Then we started a psych rotation placement because we need people to fall in love with community mental health. It has to just get into your heart, and the best way to do it is to have them come and see what we do, right? Our mission. So part of that is through our detox unit, through our outpatient, our child advocacy that we do, and all of our therapists are trained to not only identify trauma, but also to evidence-based interventions. So that's trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, parent-child interaction therapy, cognitive processing therapy for adults. So one of the things I always say to all the staff is, I want to walk in and see and feel what my son gets in his therapy, right? It should feel the same everywhere you go. So anyway, I could go on for an hour and talk to you about this, but I do want to tell you, just to give you a snapshot of one individual served, just to give you, sometimes it's helpful to even though you saw some narratives there. We had a child referred, a whole family, like 3 children referred who saw their mother gunned down, and they needed immediate service and treatment. We need to intervene earlier. We believe in prevention. Some of those programs that we're learning about with UT, that parent-child interaction can start at age 3. And so if we if we intervene early, we can really impact and make a difference. So Susan Cooper and Regional 1, all the good stuff we have going on with them, and we're intervening with our familiar faces that go through both of our systems to try to impact their lives. So Baptists, thanks for being here. We're in all the Baptist emergency rooms, Methodist emergency rooms. I didn't see Church Health, but we have a great partnership with them, a bilingual therapist based there. And I could go on and on. If you approach me and say we have a problem, we're going to figure out how to work together, because it takes a community. So with that, I would like to introduce Mayor Strickland and the City of Memphis. We've really had a great partnership. Chief Davis and Chief Sweat, the Fire Department, Kevin Spratlin. We've created some new co-responding models that are really cutting edge, that no one else is doing in the state at this level. So without further ado, please come up, Mayor Strickland.
Thank you very much, Laurie. And thank you for all you do. And everyone at Alliance, you all just do incredible work. And our city has benefited so much from all the work you do. So thank you very much. I did want to highlight, we have many partnerships with Alliance. between police and fire, but I'm going to highlight one of them that I'm sure Kevin's going to talk about, but I'll give you a 2-minute recitation of it. Several years ago, under his leadership, under Chief Gina Sweat's leadership, we created the CARE program, Crisis Assessment Response to Emergencies. They respond to people in crisis who also have mental health issues. It's a 3-person team, a mental health clinician, I think that's the right word, from Alliance, with a police officer from the police who is trained in crisis intervention, and a paramedic. And they go to the home or the business of somebody in need. The goal is to give that person the best possible care while avoiding jail and the emergency room. As a side note, Lori just told me that between this program and other partnerships we have with them, on average, we divert 500 people from jail every single month through these programs. Originally, the CARE program was half a day, and about 30 days ago, we went 24 hours a day. It won the Innovation Award from the National Alliance of Mental Health of Tennessee. And last spring, the state legislature, Senator, thank you, passed legislation that makes the program sustainable. Basically, that TennCare will now reimburse us. Before, it was philanthropy, thank you, CC Foundation and others, and city government. But now TennCare will reimburse us. And it actually makes sense for them financially, because instead of us having to take everyone to the ER, which is expensive, now we can take them to Alliance or some other mental health care provider and actually save money and get them better care and keep them out of jail. And we're doing it for 3 purposes. Number 1, to better serve that individual. And that's enough for them. But also there's 2 other reasons. To make that service, that individual, more efficient for an already overburdened system. And number 3, to reduce crime. Because too often, untreated individuals commit crime. So for all those 3 reasons, I'm proud to be a partner with you, Alliance, and you'll hear more about this from Chief Davis and Division Chief Spratt. So thank y'all for being here.
Next up is our very special guest, Commissioner Marie Williams. I mentioned to you that she started her career here many years ago. You look great. At Midtown Mental Health Center as a case manager. So it's great to know a commissioner has done the work and has it in her heart to keep us moving forward in our state. Now, I didn't talk about a lot of the projects, the pilots that we've been doing, but a lot of it is funded from the Department of Mental Health, including some of our children and youth grants that are evidence-based. The first episode, Psychosis. We just started a new program that's CHIRP, and that's another early intervention for children and youth that identifies those at risk of psychosis and mental health, bipolar disorder at an earlier age. So we just started that. We also have funding for the safety net uninsured, and the list goes on and on and on. And these are all evidence-based grants. So Commissioner, if you would please come up, and she's going to talk to you some more about all the great work the Department of Mental Health is doing in our area.
Good morning. And what an awesome morning it is. We heard the pastor, I love how she talk about this is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. I knew that today was going to be real emotional for me because, as you've heard, me and Lori started out almost 32 years ago in this city working with individuals while I was at Midtown Mental Health Center that were homeless and had mental health issues and had substance use issues. And I knew it was going to be heartfelt today because we did not have then what we've got now. I'm going to go over with you what the state's doing in partnership with this community, because for so long this community didn't get what was termed the fair share. We all struggled with that have been in the field toiling, laboring. Those of us that have been in the field with our families and our friends and our faith walk partners and our school kids and our churches and our businesses. We see it all around us. We've all been toiling. But I'm here today to say a couple of things to you that I hope gives you hope, because number one, you've got an unbelievable leader and CEO in Lori Powell, and I hope you'll give her a round of applause. She is amazing. And when you see what she's going to talk about, that she's calling all of you to come to the table, and here you are on a Monday morning, having had to get up really early to be here. Those of you that are in retirement, it's really early. And those of you that are not in retirement, that have been doing this for a while, it's really early. Those of you that drove from Nashville really late last night, it was really early. But a couple of things that I'll say, and I'll get through these numbers. Number one, 32 years ago, started here, worked with individuals, as Lori said, that were homeless, mentally ill, and also struggling with addiction. What happened in that journey and walk is what I'm going to talk about today, because it's absolutely informed the work that we do in the department and how blessed I feel to serve under a governor who has given money and attention to this issue. So during that walk, I met Nancy Lawhead. And many of you have heard me talk about Nancy. When you're a young 25-year-old case manager, you don't see a lot of female executives that are leading mental health centers that you can sort of follow, or that you can talk to, get advice from. At the age of 25, she's who I went to and sat down and had lunch and said, "Can I talk to you and ask you some questions about things?" Cannot tell you how that has poured through me through the years. Then, Pat Morgan. How many of you know Pat Morgan? Raise your hand. Incredible advocate for people that are homeless. She's here today. If you get an opportunity to talk to her or Nancy, I really encourage you to do so. Then went to Catholic Charities, met Marty Regan. Oh my gosh. If you start talking about all this stuff Marty's been involved in, we'll be here for the rest of the week. Marty really showed me how you negotiate between Catholic Charities and the YWCA, who both had completely different belief systems. But we came together and created a program that you wouldn't have thought would have been created. Pastor Young. Pastor Young, who I met, started the Suicide in Black Churches Conference. It's been going on for many, many years. Dorcas, I can't even start talking, or I'll start crying about you now, and I'm going to talk to you afterwards. Jan Young, unbelievable pillar in this community, giving dollars across this community and believing in this community and leading. I can't thank you enough for what you do. Walter Williams, Synergy. It's where I met Walter. And then finally I'm going to talk about Albert Richardson, who today is one of our co-chairs of what we're calling a Behavioral Health Commission, where we're going to look at where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going across this state. So that all comes together with what we're going to talk about here. And Susan Cooper, as the Department of Health Commissioner, I know you're going to get excited about this because you've seen where the numbers have been. All right, if we can go to the first slide. Our mission create collaborative pathways to resiliency recovery so that all Tennesseans can live with independence that are struggling with mental illness and substance use issues. And our vision, a state of resiliency, recovery, and independence in which Tennesseans can thrive, not strive, but thrive. You'll go to the next slide. You'll see our values, and we live those values out with our partners, as Lori can attest to: customer-focused, integrity, inspired purpose, excellence, compassion, and effective leadership, solutions and outcomes-oriented partnership. If we don't have that, we're not going to make a difference across this state. Go into the next slide. Our budget, and this is what really matters to me. Nancy always said, follow the money. Right, Senator? You'll know what it means when you follow the money. Well, we follow the money here. So you'll know that of $515 million that goes into direct services, that's 94% of our state budget. 6% goes to overhead. I'd like to know of anybody that's only operating on 6% overhead, but we are. 94% is in the community. And you will note that of that percentage, the majority goes into the provider programs in this community across the state. We want to serve people in the community and save the rest, best for last if they need hospitalization. And Jeff Coombs is here today, who is also our CEO of the hospital, sitting in the back if you want to stand up, Jeff. If you need anything related to Memphis Mental Health Institute, he's who you need to speak with. But then you'll look at the breakdown, you'll see that 69% of our budget is state that comes out here, and then you'll see that a lot of the rest is federal. Our staff doesn't have to write grants. They write grants all the time. Dr. Stewart can attest to that. All the time. Then you go to the next slide, you'll see the funding trend analysis. This should speak volumes. FY13, we had $307 million across this state put into programs. You look today and we're almost at $550 million. That represents a huge increase. Go to the next slide. This is what I love, Shelby County. This is where I work. This is where I know we have a huge need. Since FY12, Shelby County was getting $20 million from the state in community. I didn't even include the hospital money, because today we're talking about community. We're talking about expanding crisis stabilization, right? I'm just going to focus on community. 20 million. Today we're at 42 million. That's 108% increase. Going to the next slide. This also is something that has haunted me, because when I got to the department, that percentage, when you compare the percentage of money to the percentage of population, that goes back to the fair share argument. We were not where we needed to be when you look at the population of Shelby County. Now I want you to look at this. Shelby County's population of the whole state is 13%. That's the latest numbers we have. What is the percentage of money that we give to Shelby County through community grants? Anybody want to read that number out? 12%. That's only 1% off. I'm very excited about that, because without the dollars and the resources, you can't do what you do. Do we have higher needs? Absolutely. But if we can do more about getting the dollars to people, we will make a difference. If you go to the next slide, Shelby County data and funding, going to the next slide, you'll note the prevalence data. This is what I want to make sure people are aware of, especially sheriffs and people on the ground. The behavioral health safety net is someone tells you that they can't get a service because they're uninsured. Lori just spoke to this, and I don't know if Florence is here. But if you are a community mental health provider, we fund you to provide the safety net services. That's all of the services across the board, from intake to medication management, group therapy, all that stuff that was in the video. That is funded through state dollars. And we have enough money to not only serve the people that your providers are serving, which last year was 3,000 out of that uninsured gap. If all of the prevalence data individuals of 7,650 showed up, we got the money to serve them. Lori knows that, because we reallocate dollars within our system if we have the person show up. Very proud of that. Go to the next slide. Same thing with substance use. All of those out there that are with the continuum of care, we do have the money, but we got a huge gap there. That is something that we're working on, especially with the opioid trust fund that's coming in. So we have a gap of almost 13,000 people here that are not getting services, that are struggling with addiction. Going to the next slide. Here are all the contracted providers in Shelby County that get the $42.2 million that we give out. When I started 32 years ago, Lori, how many providers did we have? If you look at all the contracts, we've more than tripled the number of providers in this community with the new dollars. You go to the next slide, you'll see how that's broken down, and I'll give that to Lori to send out to anybody that wants to see it. So you got it broken down in prevention. You go to the next slide, you'll see the funding broken down by treatment services, what really intervenes. Go to the next slide, you'll see the rest of the treatment services. Go to the next slide, and you will see the recovery programs that she talks about. Going to the next slide, you'll see that we had about 979 admissions at Memphis Mental Health Institute in this last fiscal year. That's our hospital that serves those. You go to the next slide. Here we go into the essential Shelby County resources. If you'll go to the next slide, Tennessee Red Line. If you have somebody struggling with addiction, please call this number 1-800-889-9789. They will do a warm handoff, not just tell you what to do, but will actually walk you through what to do. Go to the next slide. 988 for crisis services. You no longer have to remember 10 numbers. All you got to remember is 988. 988. And you will get someone from the community mental health area that will help you if there is a crisis. We're grateful for that. Going to the next slide. I'll end with the Tennessee Mental Health Crisis Continuum, which is why we're here today. Lori is asking for us to consider an expansion of the crisis stabilization unit and all of those services with it, the walk-in center. I wanted you to see the numbers compared to the statewide. Crisis calls, 126,000. Lori and them get 13.8% of those calls. If you look at the statewide number resolved in the face-to-face assessments, Memphis is responsible for about 20% of all face-to-face assessments across the state. And then if you look at the diverted from hospitalization, we're grateful that we divert almost 65% individuals to stay in their community and get the resources that they need. And then if you look at the walk-in center visits, 38.4% of what we see statewide is coming into Memphis and Shelby County. So if you'll go to the final slide, what you'll see is that we absolutely need to make a difference. Thanks to the senator and anybody in here that's in our legislature that actually gives us the funding and approves it, because it goes where it needs to go. And then finally, if you look at Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has or ever will or ever does. So I leave y'all hoping that you remain blessed, not stressed, and that you really think about why you're here, why God's put you on this earth, and how you can help and make a difference in this community. So thank you for the time.
I'd like to introduce, Nina. Well, I'd like you to meet Nina Staples, one of our dedicated board members.
Good morning, everyone. I've been introduced that way and that way, so I don't have to tell you who I am. But I will say that it is with great honor that I get a chance to introduce our moderator for today. Jarita Patterson is a good friend for me. Didn't start off thinking that Jarita would be our moderator, and I actually went through somebody else who said, oh no, I know someone who can do it. And the energy, the desire, the response that we got from Jarita was just overwhelming. Jarita was originally from Kentucky, but she had the good sense to move to Nashville as a child, and to be raised in Nashville, but she had the very, very good sense to come to Memphis in 2015. She is a Emmy Award winner, so she is definitely all of the energy, all of the expertise that you see on television every morning. We have that opportunity now to see that energy and that enthusiasm with us today. Jarita Patterson.
All right, you guys. So you heard I am from Kentucky, so I am country from the rooter to the tutor. So if you need to kick off your shoes, ladies, unbuckle your belt, gentlemen, after eating all the bacon. But we're going to get right to it. I can't say after talking to Lori, Dr. Staples, Mr. Clifford, just hearing the work that Alliance is doing, I knew I was on board right away. I'm going to do a quick introduction of the incredible panelists here, okay? We have Mr. Ken Brown, Executive Vice Chancellor and COO of University of Tennessee Health Science Center. Can you raise your hand? And we'll save the applause until the end, okay? We have Dr. Michelle Taylor, Director of the Shelby County Health Department. We have Mr. Kevin Spratland, Division Chief of EMS Administration, Memphis Fire Department. We have the Chief, C.J. Davis. She's Chief of Police, Memphis Police Department. We have Ms. Janice Davidson-Winger, Chief Operating Officer, Alliance Healthcare Services, and Mr. Floyd Bonner, Sheriff, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. A round of applause for our Okay, so we're going to get right to it. There's a lot of information, you guys, so take notes if you need to. First question for our panelists. Mental health concerns and challenges, they cross all communities in this city. They can affect and really impact our physical health, the jobs that we're able to get, the education, even the type of housing. The question to you, tell us how your organization works to advance mental health and addiction care for Shelby County residents. Whoever wants to start, and we'll just continue to the right. We're going to start with Mr. Bonner, Sheriff Bonner. We can hear you.
I can't hear it. Good morning, first of all, and thank you all for being here. You know, when I walked in the room, I was excited to see as many people here as it already is. Thank you all for caring about mental health. Now, the question that Ms. Patterson was asking us, one of the things that we're very proud of is starting our new SAFE program with Ms. Powell. We've been having some collaboration with her, as well as Dorcas, as well, Dorcas Young, as well, about having someone, our mental health clinicians, to go with us. Our deputies, when we're answering mental health calls out in unincorporated areas of Shelby County. We think it's very important because a lot of times when we get the call, it's not so much a criminal matter, it's because the family just doesn't know what to do. And so in this work, sometimes it can be very difficult where police are called or sheriff's officers are called, and it's a call that really we shouldn't have to deal with those type of things if there's not a criminal matter. Now, you know, all of our officers have Narcan to deal with the drug overdose. We have crisis intervention teams where we're teaching our officers how to deal with mental health crisis. We don't have enough officers, but we just graduated some. I think some are graduating this week. We even have some of our jailers that are also crisis intervention officers as well as dispatchers. So we're trying to go across a broad brush across the sheriff's office to get our officers to become involved and become knowledgeable. One of the things also that unfortunately, many times we see people that come to jail, and I often say that we're the largest mental health hospital in the state, being the largest jail in the state. We have so many people that are in jail that shouldn't be there just because they're having mental health crisis, and that's the root problem of it. But we just recently had a drug and alcohol graduation in the jail. Well, about 35 young men had gone through it, and we were excited about it. And hopefully they would change and turn their lives around with the follow-up care that we're hoping to put in place. And I would certainly need more counseling. We're talking no more to Ms. Vile about what Alliance Healthcare can do for us inside the jail. But we're excited that the trend of it.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Okay. Never said wrong.
Thank you. You've already heard a lot about Alliance. Just to kind of recap, we serve around 22,000 people a year. We provide the outpatient services. We also provide addiction recovery services, peer support, housing, and a full continuum of crisis care. And really, I think what we do that helps the most is all of these partnerships that you see. That really helps our patients when we can coordinate with other providers, other alcohol and drug providers, other doctors' offices, you name it. We coordinate with everyone, the hospitals, the jails, and just being able to work with the CIT police, with the sheriff department, with the city police department, with the fire department, with the care team, that we really believe that makes a difference in our community to truly help those who need the help.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Dorita, for a very good question, especially how our organizations are changing and ensuring that we respond appropriately to mental health. So 30 years ago, when I became a police officer, actually it's 35, I'm cheating. About 35 years ago or so, when I became a police officer, officers responded to calls for search just based on a crime being committed at a particular location. And the information they were provided, from a dispatcher was this was happening, and it really just described some type of criminal activity. But back then, you very seldom got the other information about what was really happening at that location. And so over the years, I have to tout Memphis because Memphis became the hallmark, the gold standard for crisis intervention training. And crisis intervention training, CIT, actually started with the Memphis Police Department. Some people don't know that. And now over 3,000 agencies around the country are emulating this program. Not only do we have a crisis intervention team so that when we respond to calls to service and we recognize that an individual is not necessarily committing a criminal act, but they need additional help and support because they're going through some type of mental crisis or some type of trauma. So now calls are vetted. Calls are vetted in a way where questions are asked. Has there been domestic violence at that location? Does this person have a history of mental illness? Is this person medical dependent or medicine dependent, or other information that is very helpful for our officers to be able to mitigate the situation as opposed to criminalizing someone who really is just going through a mental health crisis. So our organization is now not just deploying crisis intervention teams, we're now training all of our recruits on crisis intervention training as they go through the academy. And of course, much to their dismay, because they're wanting to get out of class as soon as they can, but now we've added a week of training so that every officer that goes out on the street now is trained in crisis intervention training. So thank you. And too many times do we see that we have community members that are just really struggling with these types of mental health issues, and that it's important for us as a department to be able to recognize that and get them the help that they need. And I also will touch on the fact that we've worked with the fire department as we're very proud of the work that they're doing with their care team, and we are absolutely just elated to be a part of the care team, and I know our fire department will talk more about that, but that adds an additional layer of having a diversified team of individuals to address various crises. Thank you.
let me speak just a moment from the fire department's perspective. And some of you may be wondering, why is the fire department involved in behavioral health? And so let me dispel a couple things real quick. The fire department is the busiest emergency medical service in the state of Tennessee by far. And over 80% of the calls that the fire department makes every year are medical calls. They're not actually fire calls. So most of the time when you see one of our fire engines or our ladder trucks going up and down the road, one of our SUVs, they're actually responding on a medical emergency. And so in doing that, and having provided emergency ambulance service since 1966, we have found that many of the persons who rely on our services are not experiencing life-threatening emergencies. They do have other needs that need to be handled, and we need to find better ways of navigating them to the most appropriate resource for their needs. And so about 7 years ago, we started our Healthcare Navigator program, and in looking through all of our data, we quickly discovered one of the major contributing factors to why a person utilizes 911 when some of their services are more appropriate was a behavioral health need. And so we reached out to our partners in the community. Most logically, we started with our partners at the police department because the Memphis model that they originated over 30 years ago is groundbreaking, continues to lead the way, and is being replicated in many other cities, and we're proud that it started here. And then secondly, we reached out to our friends at Alliance Healthcare Services, and in those conversations, we quickly realized that there was significant overlap in what we were doing, that we were all seeing many of the same people, and we could find more efficient ways of providing that service, and that is where our care team came from just a little over 4 years ago. And you may ask, why do we need that on top of CIT? But CIT does such a wonderful job. What we are finding is many of the people that we're serving on the streets are very complex. They have medical issues that complicate their behavioral health issues, and we need a more nuanced and holistic view into what's going on there to find them the most appropriate care for their needs.
Good morning, everyone. So at the Shelby County Health Department, traditionally, we have been seen as more of a funding source for behavioral health. So we have in the past partnered and continue to partner with Memphis Area Prevention Coalition in their harm reduction efforts, as well as University of Tennessee. But we are looking to do more. It has been nice to be invited to the table more when talking about behavioral health issues, given our traditional past. One of the things we're proudest of is our partnership within Shelby County government with the Division of Community Services. For the first time, as part of the Safe Community Plan from the Memphis Shelby County Crime Commission, we have been asked to inventory behavioral health services here in the county as part of that plan, as an action step. That is huge. So for those of you all who have been in this space for a long time, you understand that that means that we are directly at the table with people who have typically been in law enforcement and healthcare, but it's bringing community services and public health to the fore and giving some of our language to those partners at the table. And so we're excited about that. Some of the other things that we've done, we have initiated a Healthcare for the Homeless program in order to bring some of the partners who are already in that space, the Memphis Fire Department and our FQHCs, Memphis Health Center, Trinity, and Christ Community, who are already doing that work. We remain committed to help fund things that bring those partners together, like a shared database. So if we had a shared database for all the folks who are caring for the homeless in our community, then if somebody is really in need of crisis care and they are without shelter, we will know that they've been to Christ Community at 10, and maybe they've been encountered by the Memphis Fire Department at 8 o'clock at night, so that we can bring those services together. Finally, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, it's really important to infuse public health into the conversation. A lot of times we get into a conversation about crisis care and face-to-face contact, and that's great. I love the work that Alliance does. But we also need to start talking more about the upstream approaches that we take before people get into crisis. What are we doing to make sure that if somebody may have depression, but they are not necessarily in crisis, particularly our children, what are we doing on the front end to catch those kids within the school system, to catch those kids within the churches, to make sure that they're getting the services they need on the front end so that we're not having a crisis situation within 5 to 10 years from here. So those are some of the things that we're super proud about. We're working every day to add additional services and to be committed partners with every one of you. Thank you.
Good morning. The university's role in the mental health space is quite nuanced and relatively broad. I mean, we cover the spectrum. You know, we bear the responsibility for creating more mental health providers. This community, like every other community in this country, simply doesn't have enough mental health providers. Our chair of our Department of Psychiatry, Dr. Cowan, is here, as is Dr. Stewart. We're trying every day to grow our psychiatric residency programs. We partnered with Bishop Young in our Suicide in Black Churches efforts. We understand what mental health and the lack of mental health services means for this community. Unfortunately, the university, I'm an employee of Dr. Taylor's, and that I manage the West Tennessee Regional Forensic Center. So we know how the story ends when you don't get mental health services. We're on the precipice of a record-breaking year in drug overdoses. Suicide numbers are up, and some preponderance of the homicides that take place in this community are as a result of mental illness. So we understand what it means not to have enough mental health providers. I wish I had enough psychiatrists that Sheriff Bonner could have every inmate in 201 properly evaluated. I wish I had enough that Chief Davis and the CIT team had a psychiatrist on call to be able to reach out to, as I'd like to be able to support Chief Spratlin and the Memphis Fire Department. Like I said, the medical examiner's office reports to the health department. We spend an inordinate amount of money hiring additional forensic pathologists to do autopsies. That's a much, much better investment made in hiring, training, recruiting mental health providers so we don't have to do so many autopsies. So the university is committed partnering in this mental health effort because, like I said, we know how the story ends if we don't have enough mental health providers.
Okay, working in news, we live on deadlines. We have to make our deadline, you guys, okay? So one more question in 30 seconds is all you get. 30, I'm gonna keep track. I'm just a messenger. And we're gonna have Mrs. Davidson, you'll go last, okay, if you don't mind. And this is looking forward, if you had one wish for our community as it relates to advancing mental health care, what would that wish be in 30 seconds? Sheriff. Because I think you're a deacon, so I know how deacons are when they get microphones.
Yes,
So
30 seconds, I got you. Well, what I would like to see is more mental health beds, more mental health beds, as the doctor said. We have so many inmates in our facility that are waiting for those forensic type evaluations. And I know we do have people here from the state that can help that with this, and we need a new facility. We need a state-of-the-art facility here in Memphis and Shelby County to serve our community.
You had 3 seconds to spare. I was going to get you.
Well, you know, I think for me, I think it's just really important that we remove the stigma about mental health crisis, and creating an environment like this so that people can be open and have conversations about the various resources that are available, and help families and even employers recognize when there are problems that exist, that we can be more proactive in addressing those issues.
A wish of mine is that we could intervene even earlier in the crisis process. And what I mean by that, from the EMS perspective, from the public safety perspective, is it possible for us to embed a behavioral health specialist within the 911 call taking process, so that we, at the time that the call is taken, we're already asking police, fire, or medical, can we also say, is this a mental health emergency? And if it is, have an appropriate triage protocol, but then hand it off to a behavioral health specialist within the 911 call center that is able to find a better way of serving those persons and give them the care they need, but importantly also, let's make sure we're getting our emergency resources preserved for higher level events.
You must need to be a deacon also.
It's going to be even harder for me. So if I could wave my magic wand, I would want an acknowledgement that our communities have been dealing with behavioral health issues for decades, particularly our children. It hasn't been going on for just a couple of months. I think that acknowledgement would go a long way. It would go a long way to starting the process of preventing community violence, and that's what it is. It would go a long way to help people to acknowledge that just because community violence hasn't traditionally been in your community doesn't mean that it isn't going to affect your community eventually. We heard that there's a gap of 13,000 people needing substance use disorder. What is the gap of children who are dealing with gunshots around their house every single day? We need that acknowledgement as a group. We know everybody in here is doing really good work, and I know I'm over 30 seconds, but I have to say this. We know that everybody in here is doing good work. What else are we doing outside of our comfort zone to really get at the heart of these issues?
I'll make it short and sweet. We need about 5 times as many people providing mental health services. More psychiatrists, more psychologists, more psych F&Ps, more social workers. Everybody who wants to work in that space should have the opportunity to work in that space. It's a worthwhile investment that communities need to make, and we need to make that investment here.
Okay, I'm last, so it'll take longer than 30 seconds.
Give me 30 seconds.
Okay. My deep desire is to reduce stigma so that people can feel comfortable to ask for help. If you have a physical illness, if you break your arm, you don't think twice about going to the doctor and getting help. But when somebody is anxious and they worry all the time, or they're depressed and they're tired, they're seen as being lazy, or just pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Stop worrying. Just think about something positive. And that's not the answer. The answer is treatment. There's treatment out there that can give people their quality of life back. There's no need to suffer with this, and we need to talk about it. 1 in 5 people experience a mental illness. We need to talk about this and encourage people to get treatment. The other thing is that this community needs a state-of-the-art crisis center. You heard our commissioner say that our walk-in center sees 34% of the state's crisis walk-ins. We need this, and we as a community can make this happen. We need your help.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hey, a round of applause, please.
We're going to welcome our mayor. Did I see him come in? Mayor Harris. You're up next, Senor. Closing remarks. I have to tell you too. 30 seconds.
All right, let's give Jarita Patterson a round of applause here. And I promise to be brief no matter how long it takes. So I'm really pleased to be here, to be joined by such an illustrious panel. Also, I want to recognize Commissioner Charlie Caswell, who I saw when I came in. Is Charlie Caswell still there? Well, he's not, he may have had to step out, but Charlie is our expert on trauma and ACEs on the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. Pleased to be joined by him and to see all of you here. There is so much that this panel could discuss and so much that we've heard already this morning. I think there's one missing piece as I sit in my chair next to School Board Commissioner Kevin Woods. Let's give him a round of applause. It's to make sure that we're opening up access to kids and students, because we know that they are under tremendous strain in their households, and we know that they have been through a pandemic and through various traumas like all the rest of us. And so the Shelby County School System is doing terrific work in opening up reset rooms and mental health resource centers. The Shelby County government wants to be a partner in that work. I'd also recognize the one thing that maybe hadn't been talked about, at least not while I was here, and that's the Youth and Family Resource Center, which is a place where families can turn when they are in crisis. So we accept referrals from the Memphis Police Department, but also from other stakeholders, from schools and churches, from families that are just looking for a lifeline because they're strained in the household. So the Youth and Family Resource Center, under the leadership of
Dorcas Young Griffin has opened over the summer and it's in the Raleigh Library. And so we would commend all of you to take a look at the program offered there. I'm really, really pleased to be here. Thanks for giving me a chance to say some concluding remarks. Thanks to Lori and Commissioner Williams for bringing us all together. Thanks very much. I appreciate y'all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. And there's so many projects and programs that we have with Shelby County Government and Community Service Agency. I don't really have enough time to talk and mention all of those, but we've been your mental health partner with the Jericho Project since its inception. And that keeps the outcomes for that, keeping people in the community and reducing crime. And I think we need one of those for kids, so I'll be happy to talk to Judge Sugarman about that. I think he had to leave, I don't see him. But anyway, and then our school-based behavioral health liaison grants. We're in the schools doing that work, and that's a pyramid model that starts with just talking to people about their trauma if they just need awareness, and it moves up that pyramid to education for teachers. Reach out to me if you have any questions. The school system will be happy to tell you more about that. But we have a vision. I became CEO in 2018. I've been thinking about this every day since. So I just want to show you that vision now. If Patrick would start that video. So what do you think? 55,000 square foot of space, located one side is Summer, the other side is Broad, and the through street is Malcolm. And we're gonna add children and youth to this component, okay? We're talking 24/7 walk-in. I'm not talking about appointments, referrals, walk-in. So that's what we need. What do you guys think? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do it with your help, and just reach out to me, and let's continue the conversation. Thanks for being here. This was awesome, you guys. This turnout, my heart is full today. Thank you.
So they I'll just import them. I can live this. I want you to come in because I've just been so busy. I'm gonna go figure out. But it's not hard because we need to start understanding.